right when he said enough is enough, and he thinks President Obama could invoke the 14th Amendment and raise the debt ceiling without the approval of Congress. Congressman Eliot Engel is a Democrat from New York. The 14th Amendment sounds like a nuclear option right now, but you think the president should just cut to the chase, maybe?
No, I think he should only use it if there's no agreement. I think that if the Republicans would be responsible for a change and meet the president halfway, I think we could get an agreement. You know, this is no time to be playing chicken when the full faith and credit of the United States is in jeopardy. Both sides have to give a little. That's what compromise is all about. Well, on the one hand, you have Republicans saying, well, we're not going to, under any circumstances, enhance revenues at all. If you take that attitude, then everyone picks up their marbles and goes home.
I guess the problem, though, is, you know, you say give a little. It sounds so innocuous, right? But we're talking really trillions of dollars. And we're talking the tax hikes. We know if there's an okay on tax hikes, those are going to come. I think people view with suspicion the fact that whether real spending cuts will come. And I'm sure today, at the president's press conference, when talking about them being pressed, the first question is about specifics with entitlements. He was still very wishy-washy, and then he used the word modest with respect to entitlement cuts. It doesn't seem like he's being sincere there.
Well, we Democrats want to protect Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And we don't think it's fair to have an assault on those programs at the same time when we are borrowing money to give these huge tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. I mean, it's just incomprehensible for me. We have to meet in the middle. That's what the bulk of the American people want us to do. Unfortunately, some of my Tea Party colleagues got elected making all kinds of rash promises, and now poor John Boehner is boxed in. He would like to cut a deal, but he doesn't have the votes in his caucus to just do it with Republican votes because so many of them are so extreme that they won't even look at closing tax loopholes for big oil or for big corporations that ship jobs overseas. You've had big companies that didn't pay $1 in taxes last year. We want to close some of those loopholes and at the same time cut spending.
I don't think there's a lot of opposition necessarily to closing loopholes, but when we start to talk about the politics of this, corporate jets, that could supposedly cost Americans $300 million a year. And we're putting billions into single wind farms. So the concessions seem to be there. It seems like for the real problem, and from my point of view, watching this and trying to figure it out minute to minute, is a lack of trust, really. It really feels like, okay, we don't know what the president is truly offering, but we know that if we go through with these tax hikes, particularly in a down economy, it's probably going to have a detrimental impact on everyone.
Well, we think cutting these programs in a down economy is going to be a job killer as well.
What about the notion of mending the Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security so that they survive? We know that we're going broke. We know that we owe $14 trillion. We know the deficit is through the roof. We understand where we're going. We see the trajectory. The president said we're not Greece or Portugal today. Well, you know what? 10 years ago, Greece and Portugal weren't Greece and Portugal, but they did not get off this doomsday track, and we're on that same track now.
Well, the president has said that he would like a grand package, and the bigger the better. And I suppose if there's a grand package, all things will be on the table. But right now, we have not heard from the Republican side that they are willing at all to be able to talk about raising taxes on millionaires and billionaires. I mean, let's face it. I always love when my Republican colleagues lecture on fiscal responsibility. I like to remind them that when the last Democratic president, Bill Clinton, left office, we had record monies.
And I'm sure a few of them will remind you, you know, we had a $4 trillion overbought stock market and things like that.
Right.
Listen, we're out of time.
Okay.
But before I go, is there a chance, though, we'll end up with just a real small deal? Is that really the ultimate deal?
Well, I think that that's what it's looking like, but I'll tell you something. Again, the American people are in the middle. Both sides got to come to the middle, and then we can have a deal. I'm still hopeful, and I believe that we will.
Congressman Engel, really appreciate your time this afternoon. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Wall Street ramping up the